And to discuss further about the challenges and opportunities of mutual fund industry, already joined us via Zoom, Antony Dirga, President Director of Trimegah Asset Management. Good evening, sir. Thanks for joining us.
Good evening, Fajar. How are you?
I'm fine, thank you. First question I want to ask you, sir, how was the dynamics of Indonesian capital market industry, especially mutual fund in last year?
Yeah, I think our industry actually grew about 1%-ish, right, last year. In perspective, given that our equity index actually grew by 10%, that performance of the industry is not that great. I think main reason was because in the middle of the year, last year, the government actually took away the tax break, the difference between capital gain tax applied for bonds held within the mutual fund versus bonds held directly by investors. So when the tax break was taken away, then there was a lot of liquidation of fund, especially what we call CPF, Capital Protected Fund. So there was about 40 trillion rupiah of CPF being liquidated last year. So that was the main issue, the main challenge for us in the industry. Believe it or not, it's not COVID. COVID was fine for us.
Okay, COVID was fine for us. But as you say that the equity fund, I highlighted about the equity fund, while the JCI grew by 10% in last year. But from what you say, did equity fund really underperform if we compare it to the JCI? So we can say that equity fund really not recorded really brilliant performance in last year.
Yeah, I mean, when I take a look at the data, actually on average, the equity fund performed about 1 to 2% last year. So when you compare it with the index JCI, that's pretty poor, right? 1 to 2%. And even so, if you look at the equity fund, the Sharia side of the equity fund, on average, underperformed. It was negative 4.5% on average, the mutual funds. So yeah, equity funds generally actually underperform the index or the benchmark last year. Actually, in an absolute term, probably we can say that the fixed income fund is better. Fixed income fund on average performed about 2%-ish, and the best was actually money market fund, which is around average around 3% on a year-to-date basis last year.
So how about the prospects of both or maybe the other category of mutual fund products in 2022? What is the main challenge?
The main challenge in 2022, aside from our internal dynamics itself, it's of course the pandemic, Fajar. I think for any investors, pandemic, the COVID-19 is something that occurs once every 100 years if you look at the history. So to us, whether it's economists, investors, the pandemic is actually one of the biggest variable that is very, very hard to predict. So this year, again, I think the main challenge is the pandemic itself. In particular, we are seeing Omicron's climbing up, but we don't know whether it's going to cause wave number 3 in Indonesia, right? But that's challenge number 1, I think. Of course, number 2 is the Fed tapering, as we all are paying attention to that. That's number 2 challenge in Indonesia for this year.
Okay, that's 2 challenges for the mutual fund industry in 2022. But if we talk about the COVID-19 pandemic, is vaccination, which is claimed to be a game changer for the economy and capital market also. Did you see the impact of the vaccination to the economy or even especially in the capital market?
Yeah, we all would believe that that's the case, Fajar. But in reality, the data shows, right, in the US, for example, I can quote you, for second dose vaccination in the US is already 62%, and there's booster about 23%. And when you look at Singapore, for example, second dose vaccination is already at 80+%, and then the booster vaccination rate is already 11%. So Indonesia, we're still lagging. Our fully vaccinated for second dose is only at 42.6%. This is according to our world in data, right? You just Google it up. And we haven't started our boosters vaccination program.
Okay.
If you talk about implications, I think nobody knows for sure, because even the data shows that even if you're already fully vaccinated, you still get the Omicron variant, right? There are cases. So that's the challenge. But I think it's only logical for us to continue to proceed, because we believe that the booster is also needed, and hence all in we just want our people to can perform their activity normally again, right? So that the economy can come back.
Okay, so what will be the main positive driver for mutual fund industry in 2022? And is there any advice from you to pick any mutual fund products? But we'll talk later after the break, and stay tuned on Market Headlines. We'll be right back. Welcome back on Market Headlines. Let's continue the discussion with Antony Dirga, President Director of Trimegah Asset Management. Before we're going further to the projection in 2022, I want to highlight about the growth of investors in capital markets, sir. Did you see the growth in capital market as a whole? Is also seen in mutual fund industry. What was the main driver for millennial investors interested in mutual fund last year?
Yeah, I mean, we saw that the number of investors in mutual fund in our industry actually went up to 6.7 million, right? That's more than double, since the end of last year. So I think for us, when we look at Indonesia, this is just the beginning. Naturally that we have 270 million people. Obviously, not everybody will be investing in mutual fund, but we're saying that at Trimegah, this is the beginning of many years to come, where the number of participation of investors in our industry will be growing up rapidly. But the main catalyst for us, actually, according to our research, is actually a GDP per capita of 5,000 US, which actually, when you look at it, it is still about 4 to 5 years ahead, away from us. When we did the research, the key driver is number of the GDP per capita. So 5,000 US dollar is the key number to watch.
Will the positive trend of the increasing investors in mutual fund continue this year, sir?
Yeah, I think so. We believe so. If we have 6.7, I think easily this year we're going to reach 10 million. So I think it will continue, and people better watch out, because I think a similar thing is happening to back then, a number of years, about 10 years ago, when you look at Korea. It is the same. In the beginning, it was the number of participation investor increases, and then the AUM, or the asset under management will follow through after a number of years, of course.
Oh, okay, hopefully. But from your point of view, or Trimegah point of view, what is the main factor that push the increasing number of investors in mutual fund? Is there also came from the role of online platforms that help mutual fund management to sell the products, or maybe the other factors?
No, definitely. I think three things. One is definitely the online platforms that's providing all the educations, and of course organization like ourselves, Trimegah Asset, is also very diligent in presenting, and promoting educational material on and social media and whatnot. So that's number one, online platforms availability. Number two is, of course, the activity of social media. That's a game changer, right? 5 years ago, it's not like this, where people promote stocks or funds and in their Instagrams or Facebooks. Now it's definitely the case. And number three, of course, lastly, the COVID itself, Fajar. I believe that it helps, because when people are working from home, probably they have more time aside, so they can actually look at investing in the market.
Okay, so there were many positive driver for the mutual fund investors, the increasing number in last year. But regarding opportunities in 2022, from your point of view, or Trimegah point of view, is there or are there any certain mutual fund category products that you project will shine in 2022 and can be an option for our viewers?
Sure. First of all, I'd like to start that we're pretty bullish on the JCI this year. We believe the JCI will go to 7,800 this year. So that's a few, a couple of about 13-15% increase from last year. So we're pretty bullish, and the reason is three things. The number one is our economy is just recovering from the PPKM, right? Like the lockdown and everything from last year. So that momentum will continue this year. So that's number one. Number two, of course, is the prices of commodities like CPO and coals. When it remains high, don't underestimate our country in Indonesia. We have a positive multiplier for commodity price. So when commodity price stays high, it will actually benefit the economy massively. And that will last a while. The longer it stays, it's going to be 6 to 9 months from here. So that itself will help and will boost the economy even more, right? And hence will provide support for the JCI market as well. Number three is there's a lot of IPO coming up for the new economy companies, right? Goto is coming up. Of course we had a bit of a setback with Bukalapak's IPO, but generally a lot of new economy companies, when they're coming up, that will attract foreign investors. They cannot help it but look at our market again. They better pay attention, because Indonesia, with a lot of potentials, with the new economy stocks coming up, that itself is something of an investment opportunity for the foreign investors. Eventually some of these companies will make up a big chunk of the index, and when the foreign investors start paying attention to us, it will be exciting for our market.
Okay, will be exciting for the market, and hopefully the challenges and the opportunities maybe will be noted by our viewers, and especially our investors or maybe mutual fund traders out there. But unfortunately, our time is limited for this evening, sir. Thank you very much for joining us on Market Headlines. Good luck.
Thank you, Fajar. Take care. Stay safe and healthy, everyone.
Yeah, stay safe and healthy, of course. And viewers, the news closes our Market Headlines today. Please enjoy our next program on IDX Channel, your trustworthy of economic, business, and capital market channel. I'm Fajar and have a nice evening. Stay safe.